Welcome to the Bellydance Stories podcast, a multimedia production directed by Alexandra Molina and Valerie Molinari.
You will hear inspiring conversations and learn about the ways belly dance has become a powerful channel of transformation in people's lives. Welcome to the Bellydance Stories podcast. We had the honor of interviewing Jillina Carlano on our show, and wow, this was a conversation that is really exciting. It's meant for the dancers who are looking to really grow in their artistic careers. And there's already plenty of talk about directing, producing, and creating theatrical works. What isn't discussed nearly enough in belly dance is what it takes to have that sustainable artistic life over decades. Jillina's work is tied to our iconic early 2000s belly dance history in the US, which grew internationally. And if you're not familiar with belly dance superstars, this was an undeniable pivoting point for the art of belly dance. And Jillina was one of the artists at the center of that movement. Now, Jillina is a powerhouse of a woman and has so much real and raw wisdom to share from her 35 plus years as a dancer, as well as a businesswoman and entrepreneur. She is the artistic director of Bellydance Evolution, founded in 2009, with the vision of elevating Rocksharky through theatrical storytelling. It's right up our alley, guys. Right up our alley for belly dance stories, right? Since then, the company has toured more than 20 countries and has become one of the most recognizable theatrical belly dance productions in the world. And we had the honor of seeing Alice in Wonderland this past weekend. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. This conversation is about what it takes to build a long, sustainable, and fulfilling life in dance. So get ready, everybody. Jillina is one of those few artists who can speak from lived experience, not just about the success, but about evolution as well. Her career spans from being a performer to the competitor, teacher, choreographer, producer, entrepreneur, mentor, and artistic director, all those beautiful roles we play. And the thread connecting all of those is longevity. So we ask questions like, how do you lead, reinvent yourself, care for your body through different seasons of life, and continue dreaming big without losing yourself along the way? So thank you for tuning in, and we hope you feel sparkly and motivated after this conversation.
Welcome to the Bellydance Stories podcast. It's a great pleasure to have today with us the honor to have one of the most important artists of our art form, the great, the one and only Jillina Carlano. Jillina is an artist that continues to inspire us, to inspire so many generations of dancers, to continue to innovate. And there has been a lot of conversations in different podcasts and interviews about her latest project, Bellydance Evolution. But today, we're going to be talking actually about Jillina's evolution. Alex, tell us a little bit about how we're going to be guiding our audience in this conversation.
Yes, we're so excited. We're going to be doing in a little bit of a la belly dance stories format, where because Jillina's work and history is so dense, we're going to go through a book format. So we're going to start with a prologue, and we're going to go into a few chapters of her life. And we're so thrilled and excited. We get goosebumps just thinking and planning this interview. So we're so honored and excited to get this book of Jillina's life, going. So, Jillina, our first question that we love to ask our audience, our interviewees, is what is your belly dance origin story? What are the beginnings of Jillina's belly dance world?
A long, long time ago. Once upon a time. So thrilled to be here with you both and to reconnect with you, Valerie. Long history with us.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it started about 37 years ago. I discovered belly dance. I was dancing other dance forms, and I discovered belly dance. And it just drew me in. The complexity of the movements, the isolations, the layering, the musicality. It just had so many layers that I just I was completely drawn to it. I had to do it. There was this quality of strength, power, and also softness that other dance forms didn't give me. So I became kind of obsessed with it. That's how my first journey started with belly dance.
And was it a class that you went into?
Yes. I signed up for a class. I was always trying new classes, tried flamenco and salsa, and I was always doing like jazz and hip hop and contemporary things. And it was love at first shimmy. I just walked in and I just loved it. And I had a pretty tough teacher. It was AMCAP, Turkish American style. We had to play zills. You had to do floor work. You had to do 9/8 karşılama. So I came from, that was sort of my beginning stages of belly dance, and mostly improv, which gave me a strong skill set of that style. So yeah, I fell in love with it.
How old were you when you took that first class?
I was about 18 when I first started. Yeah.
Young adult.
Young adult, yeah. I was already dancing other styles, and then I decided, and at one point as the years were coming and I was doing more with belly dancing, I had to kind of let go of the hip hop, especially because my belly dancing was very aggressive, doing both hip hop and belly dance at the same time. I decided I had to let go of one of them, and for sure I wasn't letting go of belly dance.
How long were you doing hip hop?
Oh, years. I loved it. I was obsessed with it as well. Like, I think I'm kind of an obsessive person. When I'm in, I'm all in. I did it since I was a teenager, and I did it as a young adult and continue with it. But in my mid-20s is when I really had to kind of make a shift, to take a decision to kind of take one direction. And then that led me to training more with different teachers, different styles, Egyptian style, and ultimately traveling and studying in Egypt.
Did you perform professionally hip hop?
Yes. Yeah.
So you were a hip hop professional dancer,
Yes.
let's say,
Yeah.
when you encounter.
I mean, not a big deal or anything. I'd go out. Grew up in Hollywood, so I'd do auditions and get some gigs here and there, and some like backup dancing with like certain artists or nobody famous. But I loved it. I showed up. I was the kid who always like showed up for everything. Went to all the auditions, got a lot of no's, but occasionally you'd get a yes, and you'd get the gig, and yeah.
How was that transition from belly dance student, to the professional world? You started gigging? Were you part of a company? Because I think that's the most difficult part for many dancers, that we don't necessarily have like a structured way to get there.
True. I was really fortunate. My teacher would have these weekly showcases, and it was like a belly dance showcase on Wednesday night. And then the city started having more showcases, and it was like students and professional dancers. And they'd put the students on first, and then they'd put the pros on at the end to close the show. And I raised my hand up, and I signed up for all of them. I was like, I'm all in. I was the kid, like, put me in, coach, raise my hand, put me in, and I signed up for everything, and I showed up for everything.
So your world was exposed to a lot of dancers and a lot of performing arts.
Yeah.
That was your young life.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that has an impact on the choices that you then decided to make from student to professional, right?
Sure.
Were you thinking about, when you were, I guess, let's say in your early 20s, were you thinking about becoming a professional dancer already?
I honestly didn't think of it as a career. It was my love. It was my passion. I didn't pursue it as a career, but with the work and the consistency, I started getting work, and I thought, oh, this is something. And I remember my father telling me, like, when are you going to get a real job? Because then I started shifting into just dance, and my dad was a tax accountant, so he was very structured, and I said, let me take a shot at this. And I took a pause from college, and I said, I want to pursue this dance thing, but I'm coming back just for the summer. And here I am all these years later. I never went back. I just kept dancing. And through those, like, for example, those showcases, the musicians that were, playing, they started hiring me for gigs in other restaurants. That's how the work came, because I showed up, I presented myself, and I gave my best, and I kept improving and getting experience. And I had good teachers that would guide me and give me good critical feedback. And it was part of that experience, just getting experience, performance experience. Because it's, like you said, it's hard to go from being a student and then working, because where do you get the performance experience? I was already a performer, so I knew how to kind of shine on stage. I had pretty good lines as a dancer, but my belly dance skills were, they needed a lot of work. They needed a lot.
That's interesting, because the stage was not new for you.
Yeah.
It was a very familiar environment. Then you started the gigging world.
Yes.
And I imagine these musicians were Arabs.
Yes. Yeah. Lebanese.
And then you enter also to dance for this Arab audience in the diaspora, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it was, I got really, not lucky. I think I had prepared for these moments, but like one of my first gigs was this nightclub, Lebanese nightclub called Casablanca. It was on Sunset Boulevard, and they'd bring in the big singers like Wa'el Kafuri, Sabah, like the big ones. And I was the house belly dancer. Reflect back, I don't know how I got that gig. Like, I wasn't ready for it. I remember the first couple of performances, I was still doing my Turkish style. I was doing Turkish, I was playing zills and Turkish drops and all the things. So I figured out pretty quickly, and the musicians were kind of very patient and kind with me. They were giving me music to study, learn masha'al, and learn these songs. So I got another coach who really helped me. Hala Mustafa, who, like, I took private lessons from her, and she got me up to speed pretty quick. So I started training really often, especially private lessons, because I realized I was in way over my head. But I was so excited about this gig. It was like a huge opportunity, and I was exposed to this. And then that led to the gigging, the weddings, and all the family celebrations. And the Middle Eastern community they're so loyal. Once they love you, once you're in, then you're in for life, right? Your reputation, if you have a good reputation, you're in for life. Like, you're part of all the family celebrations,
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
What are some advice that you could offer in terms of working with a community that is not that is a newer community that is not of your culture?
Get exposure to it, be around it, be around the women of the culture. Honestly, that's where I remember all the women in the kitchen. I would talk with them, and we'd share stories, and I just being surrounded by that, I think really gave me a sense of, the cultural nuances. And of course, traveling to the Middle East when you can, if you can, whenever you can, being around those. There's like cultural communities. Maybe you can volunteer if you don't have the opportunity to perform at places. Put yourself out there. Be brave.
So important.
Yeah.
Be brave. Take those risks. Let the
Yeah.
environment be your college.
That's right.
Yeah.
Get out of your comfort zone and put yourself out in places and go out and meet people. It'll change your life.
How teaching started
Oh my
in
God.
that journey?
Oh, this is hilarious. So I was gigging all through LA, and I had a friend who I would call, who I needed to cover some of my gigs. So if I got like big weddings or I had to travel, I would call friends to come cover me on the weekend at this restaurant. And I had a friend, she told me, I'm not going to do it unless you start giving classes. She literally kind of like backed me in a corner, and I was like, fine, I'll start teaching. Okay, give me the date. So we did the date, and I started teaching. I had a townhouse, carpet, I had a little tiny mirror, and I started with like 3 or 4 dancers. They'd come over on Wednesday nights, and that's how I started teaching. Because I didn't want to teach until I was ready.
Solid.
Solid. I'm still not even sure today if I'm still solid, but it's a journey. I wanted to be ready. I wanted to make sure I had the knowledge. I also, as a teacher, something I respected about my teachers is, if you're going to teach, you have to be prepared to train your replacement. You can't hold back. I don't want to be that teacher who kind of kept her belly dance secrets, and just gave you like little nuggets. I really wanted to be, just share all of it, share all of my secrets, all of my knowledge, and then also be okay with that person might be replacing me. And I wanted to be as generous as my teachers were. And that's how I started in my townhouse. And then I started renting space, and it started just trickling from there.
That's a great advice.
That's a perfect advice
Yeah.
without the gatekeeping, because then I feel like that next person also has the responsibility to share that experience with the, hopefully, right? That's the hope that they share that experience with the next person, that they're
Absolutely.
teaching.
Like, we model our teachers' behavior, all of the behavior. If they're always late, if they're gossiping, if they're, if they're very organized with things, like all of that, even though it's subconscious, we model that behavior. We're constantly absorbing that information.
California, I know, had some important legends.
Yes.
So you had really big standards over there for teachers.
Yes.
I know that California, there were some big names. How did that previous generation impacted you? Because I think the dance was already a little bit more codified.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like I came up in a great moment. I had access to who I would call my mentor, Sahra Saida, who spent a lot of time in Egypt. I learned so much folklore from her, but I also learned a lot of other things from her, like being generous, like her generosity as a teacher, her giving, her sharing, her compassion. I really, that's why I still call her my mentor to this day. Zahra Zuhair, who's top-notch, man, talk about hips like battleships. She is just, I got to study with her a lot. I was really, really lucky. And then there was other dancers who I trained with occasionally, like Fatim or Angelica Nemeth.
Fatim.
Little side note about Fatim. This is a great story because it relates to Miami. Miami, I think, was my second workshop that I ever got to teach. And I got the invitation, and then I hung up the phone. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to teach in a big workshop. There's not going to be a mirror. I had never taught without a mirror. I didn't even know what to charge. I was really green. The person I called was Fatim. I told Fatim, what do I charge? It was my second workshop. I had one in Germany before. What do I charge? And she was so kind and patient. She'd sit with me on the phone for hours, and she'd explain, well, we don't want you to, you're new, but you don't want to undercut the other teachers. So I asked my teachers, what is the standard? What should I do? I was just, trying to be vulnerable and trying to, put myself out there. Like all of us, we want to learn and grow. So that was a really fun thing. And the other thing I did is I called some friends over to come and dance with me, some of my students, and I said, and now we're going to face this brick wall and we're going to dance because I have to learn how to teach without a mirror. And I practiced, I rehearsed how to teach at a workshop. And then, walking in Miami scene, and Jihan Jamal was in at my workshop, mind blowing, made me nervous.
Our legend
yeah,
here in Miami.
one of the legends here, and it just, I loved that because it just showed like the standard of those seeds that like someone like Tamilyn Dalal had planted here, that the dancers keep learning and growing, and I see that still to this day. That teachers show up for other workshops, and it's really something beautiful to witness.
I love this thing about you asking the dancers of a previous generation for wisdom.
Yes.
Like, you don't have to do everything on your own and figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, you can ask for the people that have done it previously and get the information. I think that's so valuable, especially for new dancers out
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
That if you're entering either the gigging world or the professional touring world, like, talk to the people that have done it before.
Yeah, absolutely. And most dancers are happy to share that information.
Yes.
Most teachers, and recognizing your teachers is a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing.
I do see a lot of Sarah Suhair on your hip work.
Oh, wow, that's a great compliment. Yeah, I learned a lot from her. She gave me a lot of great technique. I'm so grateful for that.
And then I was a big fan of your troupe. Tell us a little bit about started to teach internationally.
Yes.
How did that happen? You mentioned us in the workshop that was your one of your first gigs that you did traveling internationally to
So
teach.
yeah, I think the first one, my first workshop was I was invited by Momo Cadus,
Ooh, that's a
the,
big name.
a big name. Yeah, the late great, and recently he passed.
Egyptian teacher.
We lost one of the greats. Wow, what an artist! What a career! So I was invited to teach at his festival. I couldn't believe it. Like, what, does he know? Are you sure you're calling the right person? So that was my first international workshop. So I went big. My first one, I went out there really big, and then the second one was here in Miami, and that was huge. It was like, I don't know, 80, 100 people in the room, something.
Miami was a scene.
That was a scene, the Johara events and all, like that big ballroom. And then it started, kind of evolving from there. And I also started with the IAMED, the International Academy Awards of Middle Eastern Dance. Susie Evans had produced these DVDs. And I was her first instructional DVD. So that's part of that, kind of that launch of my career. So I was part of the performances, including my group that you just asked about, the Sahlala Dancers. So the Sahlala Dancers, we got a lot of, we were gigging in the restaurants and in the wedding scene.
So you started choreographing.
So I was doing gigs and weddings, and somebody called and said, we'd like to hire your group. I didn't have a group at the time, and I said, absolutely. And how many dancers do you need? I could sell it. I was just like, absolutely. Oh, we just need 3 dancers, and we needed a 20-minute set. Sure, okay. I hung up the phone. I said, oh, my goodness, who am I going to call now? So I had one student who was, the girl who showed up for everything. She was a lovely dancer. And I had another one who was a professional dancer, but not really a belly dancer. She had a little bit of belly dance, but I knew she could do a lot of choreography. So the 3 of us started the Sahlala Dancers, and we started gigging. And then we started doing, in the restaurant, we started working at the Middle East Connection, and we had a 5-piece band, and we'd perform with live music with the group. And you can imagine that had to be a tight scene with the musicians, and the choreography had to be tight, and it was my learning. It was my campus of learning and growing. And then it turned from 3 dancers to 4 dancers to 5 dancers. And I think we got up to like 15 at one point. Yeah. And I got lots of experience with that.
Wow, that's so amazing. How fun. It's so great to hear throughout the interviews of all of these origin stories, because everybody's so different in how they started, becoming a professional in the career that they never thought that they would become.
I didn't know. I mean, that first gig, just reflecting on that, it was so funny. I had no costumes. I had no dancers, had no music, had no choreography. I started sewing. I kind of know how to sew. I'm not that good, but I just wanted it so bad. I was so hungry. I just did it. I made it. I got like a hot glue gun, and you start gluing things.
You make it happen.
You just make it happen. Yeah, make it work.
Yes. Take that risk. Just take that jump. Make it happen.
Exactly. Be brave.
Wow, I'm reflecting here because you mentioned a lot of things, like the starting of the DVDs.
Yes.
Like I remember that was kind of like a big jump also for our dancing, right?
Yes.
It also reflects on how the dance started to become very popular and also adapt to technology, basically.
Full disclosure, I think my first one was VHS. Yes, I'm that old.
VHS,
and for the kids listening, you have to look that up. I think it was a VHS video. Yes, and then we transitioned into DVDs, and then those landed at one stage on YouTube. So then that really kind of was this, those steps when YouTube became famous, and if you're at that right stages of certain things that are kind of unfolding. So those were good and important moments for me, and I had done the work, so I was ready. I had put my head down. I had been doing the work. So when that door opened, I was also ready.
Which is so important too. How did you meet Bellydance Superstars. How do we finish in Bellydance
Yeah.
Superstars?
So I had the Sahlala dancers. We were gigging at Middle East Connection, like a really well-known Lebanese nightclub in LA. And Miles Copeland was putting together he was putting together this tour. He was a music producer, so he was putting together these CDs, the best of Bellydance or something. And he wanted to put together a production and a show. And Joelle had recommended him to me. She was one of the producers on the music. She was producing the CDs. So he came in. It was hilarious because we had like the Wednesday night. It was like with my troupe. So he comes in alone, and he's got like white hair, and he comes into this Arabic nightclub, and he sits at a table, and I knew he was coming in. So like he's just sitting in the front row, and it's so terrifying because you're basically auditioning. And, and it was just like a really funny moment. But of course, we kicked butt. It was a great show. He could see that I could lead a group, and I had good choreography skills and good dancers. And so he asked me to be the artistic director of the touring show. And that was, of course, a big, huge launch and transition. And I had been doing the nightclubs and restaurants and the whole gigging thing for years. And I loved it, but I also was hungry for something else. I wanted more production. I loved working in theater. I loved working with Susie Evans at the IMED Productions because we always did it in like really big, beautiful theaters. And I knew I loved it. I didn't have the finances or the means or the connections to kind of take that next step. So he came in and opened the door, and then I kicked it open a little bit further. It just
because Bellydance Superstars is a very iconic group for those who are not familiar with what Bellydance Superstars is. Tell us a little bit more about how Bellydance Superstars evolved. How long did it last? And anything else you want to share about what that is for someone who does not know?
Yeah, it was so. This big music mogul came in. So Miles Copeland is the brother of Stuart Copeland, who's part of the Police music group. So big career in producing punk rock music. So he had a lot of connections in the entertainment industry. So he opened up a lot of doors for us. So he had this idea of pulling together all these great belly dancers, and only there were a handful of us went on tour. Like Tamil and Dalal was part of that.
The first one.
The first like CD and the first performance. But later we went on to tour with Lollapalooza, which is like a rock and roll music festival. So that was very strange for the audience to suddenly be at a rock and roll music festival, and suddenly we come on a troupe of belly dancers, all sparkly and shiny. Exactly, that's what their faces look like, Valerie. They were like, what? And then they would literally like tilt their heads. Some would start to walk away, like that's not what they're there for. And then, moment by moment, we were good, and there was like really great dancers. Obviously, we had like Bojenko with us, and Sonia Ochoa, and Amar Gamal, and some of the greats, to just mention a few of them. So, it was for that genre, it was like the best of the best, and the audience loved us. We also got to be on the main stage between Audio Slave and Incubus. We were like the in between. Like those are like big.
My favorite is Incubus.
Oh, I love Incubus. They're really nice guys, by the way. Really, really nice people. So that really launched us. Then we did all these tours in Europe. Then we filmed a DVD at the Folies Bergère in Paris, like a historical theater. So that also really launched us into the scene outside of the belly dance world. And that really started getting people interested in belly dance. It was almost at the same time how Shakira kind of got people excited. Remember how classes started filling up a little bit more when Shakira came on the scene? And also, what was that? It was a telenovela. It was a soap opera. El Clone. People started getting more into belly dance because they'd see it on TV. So, I see that and I want to try that. And they'd go
the mainstream.
The mainstream. So we were kind of doing the mainstream, and that brought us a lot of exposure. Those DVDs ended up on, of course, YouTube eventually and things like that. And this was a little bit before like Instagram. So it was these little steps of when things were evolving.
How did you manage fame around that time, because that DVD of Paris
Yes.
was huge for the global dance community.
Not everybody loved it. I'll tell you that. Some people, it was like a love or hate. People loved it, people hated it, and you didn't always get the best reviews. But you had to, that was sometimes it was too much for me. The critiques, I couldn't handle it. I didn't have enough confidence or trust that it would sometimes take me down when people would just say how bad it was, and it was. Reflecting back on it now, there was a lot of things you do differently. But as I would mature, I would just, try to wear that badge with honor. This was an opportunity I was given. I would do the best I could. I wasn't the executive producer. I was the artistic director. So I had to organize the choreography and the dancers and the set list and try to put together a production that also had to be approved by the executive producer. So I would kind of choose my battles with him to keep things authentic. And then he was also trying to make it really commercial. And that was just the battle and the struggle. So I did the best I could in the circumstances and with the knowledge and skill set that I had at that age and at that time in my life. But I think I managed it well, but it did get overwhelming. Like I was getting more offers for things, and then I was saying yes to everything, and I was burning out. It was hard physically, mentally, and of course emotionally. But
I can imagine, because you were kind of like in the peak of your touring career.
Yes.
Then this opportunity comes. It also gives you more visibility.
Absolutely.
I could see. I mean, I lived it. So I remember the dancers talking about it. So the dance community has an opinion, but then the popular audience that probably is not from the dancing, probably they loved it.
Yes.
So it's a lot of conflicting information.
But you know what's interesting? The Middle Eastern community gave us great reviews. We were invited to Morocco several times. I've performed, and Bellydance Evolution came to Morocco several times. They loved it. They loved the modern approach to it. And for me, that, especially like going to Morocco, the Arab world felt like very validating. Like, because I'm representing this culture. And it was like a huge responsibility for me and the group. So that was very reaffirming, I have to say. That felt, not everybody loved it, but that was something that really helped boost my confidence and also help me know that I'm on the right path.
That's so interesting that you mentioned that, because I think sometimes we get very fixated with our idea that we think people of the culture wants and likes.
Yeah.
And then we don't realize that we don't get to make that call. We
That's
have to
right.
wait
Yeah.
for the reaction
Yes.
in order to actually know how they feel about it.
True. Yeah, it's true. I think it's a balance of that. And not everybody from the culture would also enjoy that. But
Exactly.
yeah, we filled a huge theater in Morocco, and they weren't belly dancers. Let's put it that way. They were not belly dancers.
Yeah, I think there's too many expectations, no matter the decade that you're looking at, no
Yes.
matter 90s, 2000s, 80s, and whatever, and probably for our future as well. There's always going to be these expectations from so many different groups. And I
Yes.
think it's just how we work through them and we listen or not.
Yeah, it's a space where you need to navigate, and you also need to, exactly what you said, Alex, be a good listener. You need to listen, and sometimes have a difficult conversation. That's also okay to have an uncomfortable conversation.
Yes.
Very important.
Yeah.
Very important. We would like to now transition to today and chapter 1 of your
Yes.
life of this podcast interview, which is our main topic for our interview, we believe, is going to be all about longevity, not just in career, but also in your personal life and your personal goals, mentally, physically. Like longevity is that special topic that we want to weave through, and we think will come out in our conversation. And we often just celebrate careers through decades.
Right.
And then we meet somebody and it's like fast forward in their life, and we may not know or forget what they have gone through. So it's really interesting to have heard all of this already. And though we haven't touched upon belly dance evolution just yet, we already see such like this woman who's, you know, developing her life through experience and international experiences and going through, you know, just how can I, oh my God, it's so loaded that I don't even know where my brain is right now. But I'm gonna
Welcome
skip
to my
into
world.
I'm gonna stop blabbering and I'm just gonna skip to our first question is, what did you learn early in your career that helped you build towards longevity in your work? And what does longevity mean for you?
That's a great question. I think something I learned that was really important and transformational for me is you can't please all the people all the time. And if you're trying to do that, you're just trying to be everything to everybody. And it's just not possible. So being able to trust your instinct on creative choices, but that instinct has to come from experience. You know, as a younger dancer without experience, you don't have like that gut feeling to tell you which direction to go. So being able to trust myself more and trust my decisions, that helped me a lot when I stopped trying to just please everybody, because it's just not possible to trust my artistic choices and be comfortable with that. And some of them were absolute fails. Some of them are absolute fails that people probably don't see or notice. You know, you probably don't post all the fails that happened, but I think, you know, failure and success are, both of those go hand in hand. There's not one without the other. You can't have success without the failures. So I think that was something that really has helped me with longevity as a creator, as a choreographer, as a director.
100%.
Yeah.
The more you fail, the faster you're going to learn.
Exactly.
That's data,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah,
Data.
exactly.
Information.
Exactly, data.
Something that we cover in our last conversation with Shahrazad was about the importance of having long terms as dancers.
Yes.
Were you, while you were going in your career, thinking about, you know, let me do this because in the future I see myself in this way?
It wasn't, honestly, for me, it wasn't like a defining moment. It wasn't like this big map, and I might have a vision board today. I'm a little more woo-woo today. But back in the day, I just did the work. I loved it, and I would just put my head down and do the work. So being a dancer, being a performer, did that. And then the next stage is teaching. And then from teaching, directing. From directing is producing. From producing to coaching and mentoring. And each of those roles led me to transition with that knowledge. I could transition to the next role in my life, the next chapter in my life. So it wasn't such a specific moment. It just kept evolving.
I love it. And something that we wanted to go over, that you mentioned it with the DVDs, it's about, you know, adapting our dance and our art also to the new changes in technology.
Yes.
And this is something that I have witnessed in a very fascinating way in your work and now in your Instagram page.
Really?
So before we couldn't record in class, before we couldn't record Jillina when she was on a show.
That's right.
And now Jillina, it's putting out there all those, you did it today, those videos from the past. I see so many dancers that they struggle with adapting. Like what, some type of wisdom you can tell us, and what has been your experience? Because one thing is to teach for a class without a mirror, but another thing is to teach for the camera.
Yeah. That took some training. That had to, you know, teaching, producing instructional DVDs helped me to be online. Because you have to look at like a piece of glass and
And you
know,
probably
connect.
were ready for that. You're like, okay, this I can get it.
I don't know. My first Zoom class, I think it was a disaster. I felt like I was screaming the whole time because I just felt people were so far. I don't know. I think I just yelled the whole time. I don't know. That first Zoom during COVID was I don't know. It was a disaster in my head. I think it's probably okay. Actually, we did a class.
We did
Yes,
a
you
class.
guys invited me. Yeah, I think I had a few skills and a few bells and whistles with my production. I think evolving is important. Curiosity has driven my entire career. I'm always curious. What are others doing? What's the next generation doing? What is my generation above me doing? And not to compare myself, but just to observe other artists. You can learn and grow, like what's working for them. And you can also learn, like, well, some things you don't like that you don't want to take with you. So you can kind of pick and choose. But if you're just closed off to it, like, oh, that generation is just doing that, and that's not okay for the art. Like, instead of judging it, you should observe it. There's always something to learn. There's always something to learn. So I think, yeah, in one stage, I used to, like, I feel like I was hoarding my dance. I was like, I can't take it with me. I'm going to be gone. I'm going
That
to be long
hoarding
gone.
is such
I
a
don't wanna
great
hoard my
way to
dance.
put it. Yeah.
Yeah, I should share my art with the world. And a writer that I love, his name is Seth Godin, and he says, if you don't share your art, it's not art. If you don't share it, if you're a writer or a dancer or a choreographer or whatever art you do, if you don't share it, it's not art.
So powerful.
And it's not going to be perfect. You can't have control over that. So letting it go, letting it be out in the world, getting comfortable with the imperfections. Oh, you don't like the way that looked or that did, or just letting it go can be really liberating, actually. Can be really, really liberating.
I love that you're sharing these past performances of yours on your Instagram, because now the social media is so important for that sharing process.
Yes.
And I heard in one of the interviews that the ages of the people that follow you are very young. Isn't it that right?
Yeah, I mean, I have this. It's so funny. This is a funny story. I felt like, oh, I'm really getting up there in numbers. There was a girl helping me backstage. I think it was in Mexico. I've never been good with my hair, so somebody was helping me with my hair. I can do it myself. I'm not a diva or anything, but somebody was helping me, and we started talking. She's 20 years old. And then she said, oh, I've seen all your DVDs. And I was like, what are you talking about? I did that 22 years ago, even before you were born. And she goes, my mother watched all your DVDs, and I watched them growing up. And I had a moment like, oh, okay. And then I embraced it. Like, wow, my work is passing generations. This is insanity. Like, I never could have dreamed of that. Like, my work would be touching another generation of dancers.
Yeah.
The impact. That was so exciting to me. I was really touched by that. Instead of feeling old, I felt appreciated. I felt like appreciated that people still value my work. I just leaned into it instead of leaning away. But it was a little like aha moment.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Are we ready for the other chapter?
Yeah, let's move
Well,
through.
can I go back to the Instagram thing? Because
Yes.
sometimes I feel like an Instagramma. I'm telling you guys, like I'm still trying to figure out the bells and whistles on it. And with some advice I give, so advice for you out there, if you are like, I don't like being out there and I feel like I'm just like being selfish and egotistical, think about being generous with your work. Or if you shared your dancing with others and it brought them joy, then you're being generous. And when I changed my mindset with that, I got excited about posting. And I didn't care if my belly was a little floppy or my skin was a little saggy. I was like, if it can bring joy to others and I can stop judging myself and I can stop over filtering everything and just let it into the world. And I thought about how I feel when I see my peers or my colleagues or, my teachers or my students. When I see them putting themselves out there and I like it and I throw a heart over there, I don't see it as vanity. I feel like they're sharing in the world. And anybody who doesn't make me feel good on Instagram, they are instantly muted or unfollowed. Sorry if you're one of them.
Period.
They're just muted. If I open it, I'm not feeling joy, then you're out. Period. That's it. Yeah. So if I'm following you and you get a heart and like, I have a pretty small following situation over there. So,
But see, that's beautiful, because earlier you said that you learned from your teachers to be generous,
Yes.
person to person, and now you're evolving in that lesson into technology. You're still using it, obviously day to day, person to person, but it's one of those proofs and how you've worked into technology, and which was one of our questions, and how have you been adapting to the nuances of life and just how it moves through. Technology doesn't have to mean that the young people have to use it. It means that we just are evolving as a people, and that's how we want to communicate. Like, there's more ways to communicate.
Absolutely. I feel connected with all my friends from around the world too. We're finding conversations, we're messaging each other. I think that's how we started this conversation.
It's so beautiful. Like everybody's texting me, how was Jillina? Yesenia from Puerto Rico. Like, say hi to
I miss her.
Jillina.
I love her. Yeah, I was trying to get her to Miami with us, but
And like every time that, there's an event and we're posting, we kind of like feel like we're there, right?
Yeah, we're following along, we're sharing. I love following along to other stories and events and what happened. And I wish they'd share more. I was like, keep posting, keep sharing. Yeah.
It keeps the excitement.
It does. I feel inspired by watching others.
I love it.
I think that's one of the secrets to longevity, maybe. What do you think?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being inspired instead of comparing.
Totally.
Yeah. Be inspired. See what else is happening out there.
Like, I love to see other dancers doing things.
Yeah, I do too.
Like, I love it. I love to see their productions. I love to see their classes. I love to see their students. And yesterday I had this epiphany that, one of the things that I enjoyed the most this weekend was to be taking your class with my colleagues.
That
And
was
to
special.
see Yesenia, Magda, Valentina all in one room dancing so beautiful. Like, I was watching you, but I was also watching them.
I was too. Yeah, I was like, ooh, that was a pretty, like, really a great class. I came back so uplifted, and seeing the next generation of dancing and seeing you in class, and seeing that all the generations there it really boosted me. That's how it's supposed to be. We're still learning and growing, the eternal students.
Beautiful. Let's go about the changing body.
Yes.
Chapter 2. Yes. We saw Jillina this weekend doing a split on stage. And something that we admire so much about your dancing is that I see your dance becoming more rich with time and age. Like, the quality and the range of mobility of your movement, I don't feel hasn't changed.
Wow, thank you.
In all these years that we've been seeing you. So how your physical training as a stalker of yours that is constantly watching your stories, I've seen you changing your training from decade to decade.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that body maintenance that you take, and if there's any wisdom that you can also bring to dancers that are training in their 20s, in their 30s, and their 40s, and how that kind of like change also according
keeps
to our
changing,
body.
and the knowledge I have now, I wish I could go back in time and tell the 20-year-olds all about that. All about the things I know now, all the wisdom I have. Because back then it was just dance, gig, and train. Just train, lots and lots of performance, and just running from show to show. There was never a warm-up. There was never a cool-down. There was no recovery was scheduled. You could be on an all-night flight and just go straight into a workshop. Yeah, it was crazy.
Perfect for injuries.
Yeah, perfect for setting up for injuries. So yeah, I just really didn't prioritize any of that, and then later in the 30s, you start, getting a little bit more about nutrition, and you start, watching things a little bit more. You start to getting a few injuries because that does happen. So then in your 40s, you start doing a little bit more like injury prevention. And then nutrition like kind of bumped up for me even more, realizing like how important that was. Cross training, Pilates, yoga, fitness training, and of course lots and lots of dancing. And then now it's really I'm training for the next 20 years. I'm not training for the next performance. So I'm leaning a lot into strength training, weightlifting at this season in my life. I think is really important. It helps with bone density, not just for sculpting muscles, but weightlifting can really help with bone density. So that's really important for women for longevity. Pilates, I love Pilates. I feel like I'm auditioning for Cirque du Soleil. My teacher and I have we laugh so hard, and she always likes to experiment with me because I'm like, again, the same kid, like, put me in, coach. I'll try anything. I love to be experimental. And so we try balancing thing with strength. So it's also getting a lot of strength. I work a lot on my back body, if that makes sense. The back, the glutes, the hamstrings, because I think that's something where a lot of us don't put as much focus in. And I think that's my secret to longevity. One of the things that has kept me going is I have focus on the back body. Yeah.
Strong booties.
A strong booty. Yeah, get those glutes going. And Pilates has so many little nuggets for that. Yeah, getting to muscle failure, those kind of things. But the other thing that is also a huge priority is consistency. So now my morning starts with meditation, breath work, being outside, being unplugged. Then I do a sauna and cold plunge. So I'm like doubling down on my longevity. I have a sauna and a cold plunge at my home. And then I go to do some kind of workout, whether it's Pilates or weightlifting or take a class with something. I'm always kind of experimenting with things. And really, really focusing a lot on nutrition. Higher intake of protein, again, at this stage. Higher protein, lower carbs. But then some days my body says,
Give me the bread.
Give me the bread. Pass the bread, please. Pass it. Pass it over.
Those are my Sundays.
Yeah, those are the Sundays. It's a carb refeed, and you do need it. I'm more intuitive with my body. I'm listening. It's not all or nothing. But what you do consistently is what pays off. It's not what you do once in a while. If you have consistent habits and they're part of your daily ritual, that matters. So I train and I do all these things. Then when I'm on the road and traveling, like now when I'm in my hotel room, I can take some of those rituals with me, and then some of them are just I'm not able to do. I'm not doing sauna cold plunge here, but I'm still getting up early and giving myself a nice slow morning to prepare my body, to prepare my mind.
What do you think are some misconceptions about dancers aging and getting older?
I think they see it as the enemy. Aging is not the enemy. Aging gives us more wisdom. The more experience you have, the more artistry you have. When you have that experience, you can put your life experience in your dance. So your dance at 40 looks different than what you have at 20. I love watching a 20-year-old. I also love watching a 40-year-old and a 60-year-old because there's different qualities. Your understanding of the music is richer. Your emotional depth is deeper, more profound. There's power in your stillness. It's hard to be still when you're 20. Remember, your teacher would tell us, hold that pose or move slower, and you were just like Speedy Gonzalez zipping through everything. So you can get more comfortable with that. Now it's not about proving yourself. It's about moving through confidence. And I think instead of leaning away from that.
That touched me, yeah.
Yeah, leaning away from that, it's such a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But with that same thing, treat your instruments, treat your body like it's your number one, like it was a what are those violins? Sarvarsky? Are you what are
Tchaikovsky.
no, those the violin. What is Stradivarius? Thank you. If you had a Stradivarius violin and you were a violin player, you would never wash it with Coca-Cola. You would get the best quality oil. You wouldn't put it in a plastic bag. You'd buy the most beautiful leather case and stand, and you would take care of it. You would think about it. This is your instrument. So treat it as if you only have one. You only have one for a lifetime. Those ligaments and joints, you get one set.
So important. So
Yes.
important.
Yeah.
So important.
Focus on the things you have control over and let go of the things you don't. Like aging happens with our skin. It happens. That's okay. Do the things you can do to prevent it. Use your sunscreen. Do your creams. Use your red light district. You know, the red mask. I bought one of those.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Oh,
I
you
put that on
have?
my line. Yeah.
I'm so curious
The red light
about
therapy.
those. Yeah.
I do it in the morning. My husband just laughs. He calls it robot wife activate, and then I do the robot dance for him. Do, 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 do. So I'm trying to do all the things, but I don't want to turn into like Botox face and those
Obsess,
things.
exactly.
And I think when I get frustrated with those wrinkles, I think I want to be a good role model for the next generation. It's okay to have wrinkles. But the thing you can't control is this hole right here, your mouth. You can control what goes in. You're an adult. You control what goes in, and you also control what comes out. Your words. Words are very powerful. That's right, sister.
Jillina mothering here at Bellydance Stories podcast.
Yes, you have control over this hole right there.
Love it.
Okay, Jillina. So part 2, we're on chapter 3, reinvention. One thing that we admire about you is that you haven't stayed in this one identity or this one style, for the lack of a better term, within our belly dance world. We've seen you shift from classical oriental rock sharky to fusion, back and forth. You combine these things, and now seeing, all of the work that you've done, it feels like you've just combined it and brought them together so effortlessly. And sometimes we, as a dancer, this is a question that Valerie and I both really wanted to know, because as a dancer, the whole identity crisis or the whole branding, quote, quote, of you as a dancer is a hot topic. And sometimes we think that it might be too scary or too difficult for a dancer to transcend their brand or their look or their identity and try new things. And sometimes it could be it could be damaging. So how have you navigated through your many identities and the many versions of you into who you are today?
Yeah, I think of it as seasons in a way. With each season, I also, as I'm reinventing myself, I don't let go of my roots. The roots are my foundation of my dance, my understanding. I studied a lot of folklore dance, Egyptian folklore, but I never perform it, and I almost never really teach it. But it's part of my foundation that kind of leads me into these other areas of dance. So there's these little hints of it that are sprinkled in. If you look at my work, if you really dissect it, you'll discover it. So I think I hold those roots, but I try to expand in new avenues. But expanding as a dancer or a director, as a choreographer, I try to evaluate my strengths and my weaknesses. And that's not always an easy thing. When I'm coming in, I think about, well, these are things that I'm at this, for example, right now, at this moment in time, these are things that I'm stronger at now, and these are things that I might be a little bit weaker at. So I give my weak points some attention, and I also lean into the strengths. Like, this is what people are enjoying about my work. Let me see how I can kind of repackage it with a fresh approach to that particular step or movement, with different music, different costuming, kind of repackaging it, and also not trying to be the person I was, 10 years ago. I think you said something about me doing the splits, so I can still do this, but I don't need to do a Turkish drop anymore, and I'm okay with that. I think that that's not necessarily my strength right now, and being comfortable with that, really evaluating my dance. And I also look to my peers. Sometimes I'll ask a peer to review my work and to point out some of my flaws and those little tweaks that we have. The left hand is kind of, a little getting some tension, those little things that we see in our students. So I call it having a fresh pair of eyes on that and being humble enough to ask a colleague for help with that. I think that has helped me a lot to come into this new chapter.
Because seeing I just love watching Bellydance evolution, because you are, for example, I think about Alice in Wonderland that we just saw on Saturday, and the Saidi duet that was there. It was so playful and so beautiful, but I understood it as
Yes.
Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Like, that was just so fun to watch, that whole play and reinvention of a story. And stories can be retold
Yes.
so many ways. There's not one way to tell a story, but all of those other micro layers of the studies that you've done, and like how you said, you study folklore, you don't often perform it, you don't often teach it, but we see it in your productions. It's an homage to, the roots of
Yes.
where we come from. But then you also have this way of bringing in the, for the lack of a better term, a fusion, to the work that you do. And that is a very risky thing sometimes to do. Sure, in our world that we get so many opinions,
Yes.
thrown at us. I want to know how you have navigated all of these outside voices, and I want to know how you have kind of blurred them out so that you can continue to create what you want to create.
Yeah, that's such a big topic for me, and especially, wanting to honor and celebrate the culture I love so much, that I spent a lifetime, more than half my life, celebrating Egyptian music and dance. So when someone comes at me really critical, it's to be honest, it's really painful. And I think in one moment, I thought, "Oh my God, what the hell am I doing? Have I gotten it completely wrong?" Like, I really questioned myself, and I'm gonna quit. Like, I just had a really, like, a low moment, and then I stopped and I paused. I said, "All right, calm down, calm down, Jillina, calm down." Like, I've invested so much in traveling to Egypt, and whether it's hiring coaches there, spending money there, and celebrating their dance and spending time and money there. But more than that, I also even have brought in source dancers for my online programs. I brought in source dancers to choreograph for my newest show. That was really exciting, to bring in Egyptian choreographers to do it remotely. Not an easy task, note to self. But I really wanted to make it happen, so I led myself in that way. But you should question yourself, and you should also listen to the critical feedback. But at some point, you also can't let it take you off your mission. And thinking about that, somebody said to me, "Oh, Bellydance, you call it Bellydance evolution because it's not good enough the way it is. You have to evolve it." And I was like, "That's not the name. That's not why I named it that. It's because art is always evolving. Contemporary dance used to be, back in the day, ballet, and ballet became, contemporary and modern, and all these evolutions of different dance forms. It's not that we don't honor and love and trust the origins, but it's just an evolution." And that was my path. So it was interesting to have a difficult conversation with my critics. But I welcomed it. I even reached out because I wanted to go a little deeper with that and hear that perspective and take that information in and let that sit with me for a while. It's good to sit with things and not react. As I'm getting more mature, I can settle things and not be as reactive. And I think that's helped me a lot to kind of navigate that part of that chapter.
I was very fascinated to see folklore in the show, like the caterpillar with the Iraqi dance that I think Sarah Haditi helped you with that
Yes,
piece.
I reached out to her to get some critical feedback.
The Saidi with the twins, and then also seeing
And the Semai, we had the
Muwashahat,
the Muwashahat, a little toka.
I was so fascinated also because as a person that I am not necessarily a fan of the tribal style, it made sense to me to see it in Alice in Wonderland. And as a person that I was like a little, to be honest, hesitant, I'm like, Alice in Wonderland? Seriously, what is she doing? Like, and then I saw it and I realized, oh my God, how genius to take such a mainstream concept that is so visually and at the same time, like it's so random, right, for me, and then to see it, how it will work out so perfectly. I am very fascinated and like,
thank you, Valerie.
seriously, like it makes so much sense. And whenever I was able, obviously as a trained dancer, to see those folklore integrated in so much innovation, also help us dancers to understand that folklore also can be a creative space for us to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's an important foundation. It's important that dancers realize that my hope is that the next generation will also take the time to study. Those, sadly, a lot of the festivals don't offer folklore workshops. Those folklore workshops are not very full, so producers can't afford to hire those teachers sometimes. So it's my hope that people will understand the importance of it and
being curious that there's something really valuable there to get.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was your choice in producing Alice in Wonderland? Why that story?
I think I produced it over 10 years ago. So then I brought it back as a performance intensive. So it was part of my professional show. And now I brought it back years later as a performance intensive to offer opportunities for dancers to try a theatrical experience. The story, it's a whimsical story. I feel like there's a lot of room for creativity. The principal roles don't have to necessarily be male or female. And, we do get men that audition and join my cast, but often it's predominantly women. So that was like, a Mad Hatter doesn't have to be a male character. Could be also played by a female. So...
Yes, I love Alice in Wonderland. I think there's everything was, I came into that theater show with no expectations whatsoever because I have heard many people say like, this is strange, like this has nothing to do with the culture. This is kind of similar to what Val was saying. And I'm like, look, there are many ways to tell a story, and I'm sure that she has something to say about her version of Alice in Wonderland. And in addition to that, I think people forget that theater is also not just a story, but more technically speaking, it's the lighting, the transitions, the choices of, I think it was 3 things that I was talking to somebody about the other day. It was the lighting, transitions, and the main character, the following one main character, which helps the viewer and the audience understand what we're trying to witness, and hear and experience. So I think that that one was really fun to watch because we had Alice, we followed her along, but she, like, the dancer was able to be very playful. And it's not often that we get the chance in this style of dance to be playful, to explore, or to move in ways that are, you know, just out of the box of the aesthetics, the industry standards of elegance and, you know, feminine beauty.
Exactly,
quote,
like the movement vocabulary. Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, when I told, for example, I told Alice to run across the stage as she's coming down the rabbit hole. And of course she did like a dancey run. I was like,
almost
no.
like a chassé.
Yeah, like a chassé, pointing toes. I go, no, sprint as if you're being chased. And she's like, run, run, run. I go, yeah, just run as fast as you possibly can and then stop. And then she did it. And she's like, oh, that felt so weird to be in my costume and run. Like, so it was kind of fun. And then of course she comes back to her beautiful movement quality. But one thing I love that people come in like, what is this thing going to be? But you know what's really extra special is that the husbands and the family members who get dragged along to the belly dance show, who don't necessarily want to be there, but they're there to support their wives or friends or whatever on stage, they walk away with being, oh, I never realized we could see belly dance in like a big theater, and I followed the story, and they get so involved with the story that they walk away with something. And that's always something that I'm kind of proud of, because I feel like I've recruited somebody to be a fan of belly dance now. Now they'll go back to another belly dance show, and they'll understand that it's so much more than just a bunch of shimmies and, you know, a Shakira move or something, you know. So that's something that really touches me.
I have a question about main characters.
Yes.
And original stories versus stories that we already have in the world of humans, right? Was The Dark Side of the Crown an original story?
Yes, that was an original story written for me. I had a writer friend, Brad McDonald, who wrote that for me, and that was kind of fun to do that in that capacity, because I had some scenes in my head that I would have liked to have seen. So it was a collaborative process, but he wrote like a really cool and interesting story. And fun fact, I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to bring back in 2028 as my new performance intensive. Is Dark Side of the Crown.
I want to know
Spoiler alert.
Oh, I love it. Ooh, dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I want to know how much of a difference are the difficulties between doing an original story production versus using a story that the world already knows. What are the differences there that you've experienced?
Oh, gosh. I just debuted my brand new professional show, Swan Lake, about a month and a half ago, and I'm flying off to Texas to do it next weekend. Really, really hard. Really, doing something for the first time is so difficult. All of the first costume run, the first music, coming back, getting the music right, the transitions. Like, I'm so glad you said transitions, because I'm not the only person obsessed with it. Like, they're so important. Is it 4 seconds? Is it 2 seconds? It makes a huge difference for the audience. So I spend a lot of time on that. Thank you for noticing. The transitions, the acting, the character development, the choreography, the travel steps, they worked or they didn't. So something brand new is incredibly difficult. I worked for about a year and a half on Swan Lake, developing the story, the music, costumes, and then presenting it on stage. And it was hard.
I'm so fascinated
but
by
I have to say,
the process.
I've never been so proud. I couldn't believe I could produce a show at that level. Like, I feel I'm lucky to be in the show. I'm lucky I got in
Swan
the cast.
Lake.
Yes.
Because that also is a ballet.
Yes.
So,
and I took, spoiler alert, I took some artistic liberties within the story because I wanted to take my own take on it. So it's not the exact classic ballet, but it's pretty clear.
And that's the beauty of storytelling, is how we retell it every time.
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
and I
the
wanted
Odyssey.
it to be something that relates to life today, because it's such an old story. So
And
You
I
have to
I
come
think
see
it's
it.
powerful for general audience to see a story and a ballet like Swam Lake
Yes.
actually being told in the belly dance movement language, because it gives kind of like the the same importance to this art form that we've been for years talking about,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And the importance of people seeing it in the theater, like the restaurant is great, but the theater is
Yeah.
also brings a certain level of respect.
Yes. And the level of dancers in the show, high level, very high level. I mean, dancers are lifting each other. They're a lot of cross training and highly, like some of the best belly dancers. And we debuted it in LA. Oh my God. And I had all my mentors there. And Aisha Ali, if you know who she is, she's one of the icons who brought belly dance to the United States. She was there, and she was blown away too.
That's a
We got like
legend.
really good reviews from people who would not necessarily enjoy that type of theatrical show. So
And coming back to the topic of innovation, I think
Yes.
it's really inspiring for dancers that are being part of this production and that are actually part of the audience to understand that for me to use the term artist and art means that I have to also be curious enough to also educate myself in
Yes.
art in general, because just like Alex was mentioning, the theater requires that you need acting training, lighting training, other type of dance discipline training.
Yes.
Like it's not enough with just going to a ballet dance class every week.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you mentioned curiosity, because that has driven my entire career. I've always just been curious. I question everything, and then I just push it, like it's my momentum that takes me to the next step or the next question. And I just question that, and then I find a new nugget. I find a new element, and I just keep layering it.
Now for innovation, in such a busy schedule, how do you find time? How do you put time for yourself to say, okay, I'm going to start watching all these theater shows? Like, how do Jillina
I
goes for
schedule
that?
it. I schedule it. I schedule creative time. I schedule time with other dancers. I love to be in this. Those of you who know me, I love to be collaborative. I enjoy to be in the studio with somebody else than to be alone. I also enjoy my alone time in the studio to I call it like noodle around and try things. But then I really get a lot of joy from collecting dancers and trying things. And I used to do a thing called Stay and Play. And I did it in Maui recently. So I'm just going to try it. I don't know if people will do it. So I teach a class. The students come and pay for the class. And then optional 1 hour free. I sell it free so people get excited. Everybody loves that. It's called Stay and Play. No expectations. All you have to do is say yes to everything that I recommend. So make a diagonal, okay, and then do a shimmy, and then wave your arms and go in a circle, and then it lets me explore. And for any choreographer out there, try it. It's called Stay and Play, and you just get dancers in the room, and all they have to do agree to say yes to everything, just to say yes and to try it. And it's a fun way to explore without having a hard deadline, because, producing a show, you got to hit your marks, you got to hit your deadline with everything. So this is a great way to explore the creative process and then take that and then really put it on pro dancers, quantify it, do all the things, and,
The
then
freedom,
present it. The freedom.
to create.
But I discovered that later in life. I wish I would have known about that earlier, because everything was a hard deadline. So I do schedule in creative time to work on things, to create things.
How much do you research outside of the belly dance industry and for your work?
It drives everything. I watch all kinds of dance shows. Productions, operas, ballet, flamenco, salsa, any kind of performance on stage. I'm just like collecting data. Oh, the lighting works like that. The transition was like this. The costume was orange and yellow. That I would never think to put that together. That looked great on stage. That's something for my knowledge. So I watch a lot and I research a lot what I like, what I don't like, what works, what doesn't work. And I like to sit somewhere towards the back or the middle of the theater because I like to hear the audience react. Because we have our own reactions, but the audience doesn't lie. You know, it works or it doesn't. It lands on them or it doesn't. Like comedy is something that it either lands or it doesn't. It goes silent or people laugh. So, and you don't know until you put it in front of an audience. That's the hard part.
Such a great advice too, to actually go to a show and actually see how people are actually reacting
and then
to it.
Okay, this is kind of weird, but then when you're in the bathroom and you're in line for the bathroom and people are talking about what they're watching, like they're like chatting, did you see that? And remember when she did that? And I'm always like eavesdropping to all the conversation. Even when you're in the stall, you can hear it.
Yes.
I'm all just like, I'm learning in every moment. It's, you'd be fascinated by what you hear people talk about when they think no one's listening. You know, they're just reacting to it. What is the human reaction to what you witnessed at the same time? Because I have my reaction, but they're just reacting without, you know, a plan or a production in mind.
Let's move on to our next chapter. Do you want to do that one, Val?
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, go ahead, girl.
One that is very important to be able to create big things like a theatrical production, which is leadership. And in the part one of the interview, when we were covering your origin story, we can tell like how collaborating has been an important part of your work. We see you collaborating with dancers over and over again.
Yes.
So you have to actually develop some strong leadership skills to be able to manage all of this. Like, how do leadership has been something that has also evolved with you? Like when you think about yourself in the past, you know, like I have learned to lead things in a certain way.
Huge learning curve. It has been a momentous growth. I think more than anything, if I reflect back on the director I was many years ago, I would, you know, I did the best I could with the skill set I had in that moment. So I want to give myself some grace. And the dancers who worked with me, I'm sure they gave me grace too. But I think now it's really important that it's not about micromanaging people. It's about inspiring the big picture, getting the team on board with the big picture. I don't want to micromanage everybody. I used to try to do everything. Now I've learned to trust my team, and I've learned to delegate. That is a game changer. But you have to surround yourself with the right team. You have to be a good leader is to be a patient teacher. To be a good leader is to be a really patient teacher. Whatever your expectations are, really be clear about what the expectations are. Take time to teach them your methods, your systems, and really lean into that. The other thing that's important is understanding human behavior. Leadership and inspiration is individual. What works for you might be different for what you need. So I'm a really good observer of human behavior. I watch body language when I'm in the room with a group of dancers. I can notice when the fatigue sets in. I notice their facial expressions. I notice certain gestures, and I identify it, and then I can step in when I need to. But yeah, being able to delegate has been a really big game changer for me. I've been able to go much farther. Hire the right people that have a strong skill set and skills that you don't have, and then get out of their way. Don't micromanage them. Just get out of their way. Let them do what they're good at.
I love it.
It's a big deal because it's hard to let go.
It's hard. I used to do everything. I used to make the costumes and do all of the bookings, and like I've worn all the hats, which is good because I understand how much time each task take. I understand most of that. I mean, everything has evolved a lot. Things are more, technical, but in some sense, I've worn all the hats. So I have empathy for those different tasks. But you're right. It takes a lot of trust.
How do we make difficult decisions as leaders while still protecting relationships?
Yeah, that's tough because I'm all in with my people, with everybody. I'm an open heart. I'm an open book. When we started this conversation, I said there's no question that's off the table. I wear my heart on my sleeve, which maybe not always the best thing, but I'm just that's who I am. I think being clear and being honest and direct is also really valuable. It's really important to be honest and direct is going to help the other person instead of trying to protect their feelings, to help them grow and evolve. You have to have a tough conversation sometimes. I approach it with love. I try to approach things with, I know you care, and why is this getting in your way? So that person understands, because if someone's in the room with me, they care about what the work is, but something is not working right. So I want to recognize their effort. I want to recognize their passion, and then I want to get to the problem, because there's problems come up, and I've had to, let people come and go, and that's part of the evolution of having a company and having that. And sometimes, your paths just need to cross, and it's time to let go. And you never want to walk away with resentments. Resentments don't serve anybody, because usually the only person with resentment, they're the only person suffering. That person has moved on with their life.
Totally.
So you let go, and you genuinely have to want them to succeed, which is a practice. You genuinely have to want them to succeed, to let them go and let them fly and spread their wings. It can be tough. It can be painful.
But it's part of the process. It's part of the process. How we learn.
It's how we learn, how we evolve.
What has surprised you the most about working with artists and dancers?
I think the thing that surprises me the most is that dancers step in the room and how quickly they transform. Because of, even I heard it this week, like in 4 days, how far they came in that 4 days. But when you have all of this pre-work done, because I'm all about preparing, I tend to be overly prepared. So I think it's really exciting for me to see dancers go from being absolutely terrified from the first day to seeing them shine incredibly bright on the stage. So I think that always surprises me, that they don't see the light that I see in them. And that's very exciting for me to see that. And I get to see it over and over and over again, because I keep stepping into a room of dancers, some of them I've never met before, and to see, and I can see when it's coming. I just see it like day 2, I know it's going to happen. Day 3, usually some tears. Day 3 is always the day of tears, and the day 4 is like, boom. It's kind of like clockwork.
It's very inspiring to also see those transformations,
it's
every
so
week,
rewarding.
and it's like food for the soul.
It is food for the soul. It's everything. And this week, I got to a point in my life. I want to be in the room with dancers who care. I want to be in the room with dancers who are committed and are going to have love and respect for everybody in the room and the project. You can be the best dancer in the whole world, and if you don't have the right attitude and I don't want to work with them. I will ask you to leave, and I'm starting to do that even more. And it's just, I love you, but I literally say, this is not the right project for you, and I wish you all the best, and you're going to have a great career, probably as a soloist, but this is not the right project for you. And once you cut out anybody toxic or that's not on board, that's where the real magic happens.
Yeah, the energy flows.
The energy flows, the magic flows. And, I've been around a lot of divas or drama and all that stuff, and it's like, there is no time for that. Life is too short. Life is really short, as we know.
Those are all wonderful leadership qualities. Yeah, everything, all of the examples that you just shared were I think personally very hard. You can't just, nobody can just be a leader. There's so many experiences and things that you have to go through and learn. And I feel like you have shared with us so many of those and gotten to, you know, this point where you're making those hard decisions and hard conversations.
Yes.
And I feel like a leader has to take on those. Are they burdens or so? How would you explain that experience by making these decisions?
They're tough. I heard somebody on a podcast, you know, if you're a leader and you're not having daily tough conversations, you know, there's a lot of tough conversations. But my philosophy is like, people don't care what you know unless they know that you care. And, you know, I think everybody that I work with knows that I genuinely care about them as an individual first. One of my most important leadership skills is we start in a circle. We start equal. We see each other, and you are also seen. We share like a question, and we go around the room, and everybody is seen, and everybody is heard, and everybody is valued. And then we begin to dance. So we have to warm up our hearts, and then we warm up our bodies. And that is the most important thing. And if you can't arrive in time and you can't be in the circle, then this is not the project for you. And that's also tough. But nobody wants to miss my circle time. I'll just say that. Nobody wants to miss that. There's some real magic.
I love that. Circle time.
Circle time. Yeah. And if you know, you know.
Yeah, I guess that it's like you say, you gotta be a very patient teacher to actually teach others what are your expectations also from them.
Yeah, being really clear about your expectations. When I start, especially with the lead roles for Alice in Wonderland, I start with one-on-one coaching with them, and I'm really clear. And every time I do it, I realize, like, oh, they missed that. So now I'm like, you need your first draft, the deadline there, and then the second draft, the deadline, because people were submitting on the last day, the last draft. I was like, no, there should be multiple drafts. Like, some people got it, some people didn't. So you have to go back and evaluate when they get it wrong. So when something goes wrong, instead of blaming them, I ask myself, what am I going to do differently? How can I clarify my communication? You have to over-communicate. So it's written, it's spoken, it's repeated again on the website, it's repeated again in an email. So you know, people don't read anymore. Sometimes and now actually I have a video, like do's and don'ts for how to film your videos for the project. I made a video, do's and don'ts, and I made it comical. So now people actually listen and do it. And the thing, it's a work in progress.
Like, I have to see your feet. Like,
I have to see your feet. Somebody filmed, like, you know.
I help a couple of the dancers on the audition videos.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about.
I know all the rules. And I'm like, feet is all she wants to see.
I have to know that
should
you're
I wear
seeing
a
the
skirt?
step.
No. The leggings.
Yes.
Black and clear.
Yes. Let's see what's happening down there.
I get it.
I appreciate that. Oh, my God.
So, excellent tips on leadership. I am here taking notes with Alex for our future productions too. Our productions are so important for us because they also validate our artistic voice.
Yes.
And you mentioning about the type of feedback that you have had with Bellydance Stories, and that also kind of like has a toll also on our self and our confidence. So how do you separate your worth from your artistic work?
I don't define myself by social media. I don't define by the applause or the invitations when they come and they go. I try to define my work by my relationships. If I can make somebody find and discover something in themselves, that's the reward and that's the work. And it feels good to be at that place in my career, because when you're younger, you're chasing something else. And I'm not chasing that anymore. And I think with social media, there's all these numbers there, the followers, the likes, the part, it can be chaotic. But letting go of that and not letting it define you, and just being in a circle of people that I genuinely care about and that I genuinely care about them, and there's a relationship there, that for me, that defines who I am. And when I leave this planet, that's what I want to be defined by.
That's so powerful, Jillina.
I want people to discover who they were when they performed my choreography, or when they worked on a project with me, or if in a workshop, that they could discover something in themselves, that they take that with them more than a hip bump or a shimmy or something. Of course, they'll get some good technique and some
beautiful.
Oh my God, amazing technique.
Yeah,
Hello. Yesterday's workshop was like, I woke up sore.
You and me
too.
both. 4 hours yesterday.
But
Hi.
you know what I love about your classes? That I was like, everybody in Miami was making fun of me because they're like, are you getting some type of commission for people coming to Jillina's class?
That's
You know who
hilarious.
you are. Anyway, you make everybody feel seen. You're not teaching directly looking to the mirror and that's it. Follow me. And like, you turn yourself, you walk around the bodies. And I just want to let you know that we feel it.
Oh,
We feel
it's
your heart
everything.
so much in class. And it's like, you have really moved us.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
So-
It's important to me, and it's genuine because I'm so excited to be in the room with others. Living in Maui, I miss having a dance tribe. I miss my people, and I'm carving out some tribe there. But being in the room with a group of dancers is magic for me. Eye to eye contact is the magic for me, and honoring every person in the room, because every woman is there for a different reason. You got the pro dancers there. You got dancers who are trying to make their name. You got dancers who's just, this is her weekend moment that she's away from the kids and work and all this, and she's just there to move her body. And honoring and understanding each person's motivation is so exciting for me. And trying to meet them where they're at, whatever they're at. They missed the turn. No worries. You just keep on going.
I was telling a dancer from Florida. She knows who she is.
She knows who she
Okay.
is. I don't know who it is.
But she's going to hear the podcast. She's going to hear the podcast. And I told her, because she's a new teacher,
Okay.
and I told her, if you want to learn how to command a room and keep people inspired, you take a class with Jillina.
Wow.
And I remember every workshop I have taken from you precisely because of the way you make people feel in the classroom. And now that we have gone through all this introspection about your inner world, like it's so clear that you have put a lot of this in practice. And it's really inspiring for us as teachers to now know that, the space of the classroom can really transform lives and have a huge impact beyond of what we
Yes.
actually think.
100%. I think I said it yesterday at class. Time is the most valuable gift you can give another human being. So when people commit to taking a workshop from me, I take huge responsibility with that. They've chosen to spend time with me. More than their money investment, more than anything else, time is something you can never take back. So I arrive early. I'm super prepared. I woke up early. I was up past 2 washing costumes after the show. I woke up early so I could prepare, so I could rehearse the material. I have the music edited perfectly just so I can run the workshop and get through the material, and I'm not scrolling the thing. And I take it really seriously, and I like to have fun. And I'm kind of a goofball in class too. I like to laugh.
You
and-
are.
Yeah, I like to have fun. You got to have fun.
Yeah,
It's a lot of hard work, so you got to have the joy and the laughter sprinkled in. And somebody said that to me yesterday. She goes, I didn't realize you'd be such a goofball. And I'd never met her before.
That was probably Shayna.
I was
sure.
like, thank you. Thank you. I was like, it's definitely not a complisult. You know what a complisult is? It's like a compliment and an insult, like combined into one. No, I took it. I love that because I love it's just being goofy.
And
Have
I think
some
a
fun.
good advice also for teachers is like sometimes we're very focused on the material that we're gonna
Yes.
teach and the combo that we forgot about the people.
Yeah.
Like you gotta take care of the people. You gotta connect with the students also in the classroom.
Be a good observer. Again, human behavior. Watch their faces. You can see when people are getting overwhelmed, they start to back up. Their shoulders will come up. Their faces, they start to become smaller. They want to dance smaller.
Read that body language.
Yeah, read that body language. Yeah, I've actually read books on that body language. Yeah, it's fascinating.
It is. I love it.
It's interesting,
I
right?
do,
You can learn a lot through that human behavior.
We talked about so many things. We talked about ageism. We talked about leadership. This was a very heavy, dense, in all the best ways conversation. And we have so many things to process, Valerie and I. Reinvention, just so many things. And we have just one more question before we get into the audience questions. We had so many people submit questions, and they were really fun and interesting to but I'm going to get to that. But the last question is about fears of change, industry standards, expectations, ageism. What message would you leave for women who fear that their golden years are behind them?
Yeah. Flip it. The best years are ahead of them. Just flip that upside down. Again, I think we mentioned it, like all that wisdom and knowledge and life experience, that's going to give you instinct on the stage. It's going to give you instinct on movement choice. It's going to give you instinct on musicality, all of those things. And if your body's changing, maybe you adapt your costuming. Maybe you want to, I always wear a costume that makes me feel amazing. Some people are like, I don't want to show my belly. I don't want to do this. Or, then nowadays we have all these options of costuming. So wear something that makes you feel really good and confident, can be really empowering. That's a nice tool that I've been using, leaning into. Don't dance smaller. They don't want to take up space. They're feeling insecure. It's like you can take up more space. You have more to share. And think about that. Put yourself in front of an audience who's going to love and appreciate you. We have choices. No one's forcing us to dance. It's not an obligation. So when you go out, if you're going to go out and present yourself on stage, put yourself in an audience who's going to love and appreciate you. And if they don't, then that's not the right place for you. If you don't feel that supported there, then maybe that's just not the right place to be. Like, I don't dance in restaurants anymore. When I go to restaurants and clubs, I love the atmosphere, and I'm doing this the whole time, and I love that atmosphere, but that's not my place anymore. And if you asked me all those years ago if I could ever not love that, or be away from it, but it's just all these things just kind of naturally transitioned. And that's what I love about theaters. I have a little distance with them, and I got lots of lighting, and I feel confident there. I feel very comfortable there. And one day that season will change. So I kind of listen to that voice, and I prepare. I work hard to prepare for those moments.
Sound advice.
Yeah. Lean into it.
I love that.
The best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come. Your golden years are not here yet.
Yes.
Flip it.
Flip it. Just reverse it.
And even women who have not even started dancing yet, just do it.
A lot of women come to this dance later in life, and I think it's because it's a low impact dance form. It's welcoming for women of different, backgrounds, and it's low impact, so your body, you can do it new at an older age, whatever. We've all seen that student come in and discover that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, find your tribe, find your hafla, find your moment. It does exist, and your life experience is artistry.
Let's roll into that really quickly, because one of our audience questions is very similar to what you probably just answered. Okay, audience question time.
Yes.
That one came from Masa, right?
Masa, my Iranian student from Sukar.
Okay. Hi, Masha.
She's a new dancer.
And her question?
And that one is, if you want to read it, since
She-
she's your student.
Masa, this is for you. Okay. When did you started dancing? And touching into what we just talked about is like, any advice for people who start belly dance in their late 30s?
Just put the work in. I was never the best dancer. I was never the prettiest. I wasn't the tallest or the skinniest or any of those things, but I could outwork everybody else. I just put my head down. I did the work. I did the training, and that kept giving me momentum forward. So you in some ways you do compare yourself with others in a good way, but you also, if you're the person who's doing the work, and you can outwork everybody, then you're going to go places. And if you enjoy the work, that work should give you joy. Like I love sweating. I love sometimes the grind of it. I literally enjoy it.
Great answer. She's
Yeah.
put in the work, so
Okay.
this is gonna
Yeah.
reaffirm whatever she's doing right now.
Yes. Yes.
We have a few questions from Yesenia, which is one of our teachers. She came to your drum solo workshop
Yes.
yesterday, director of the Arabian Roses. She had so many really good ones. But this one is a fun one. How much direct influence do you have on the music creation? Do you give Paul a theme? Paul Dinlatier, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you give Paul or the musicians a theme and they create, or do you request, or do you give requests and opinions throughout the writing process?
It's a great question. And for those of you who don't know, Paul Dinlatier is my husband of 29 years. We have different last names. I just never changed my name. That process has evolved a lot over the years. Bellydance Evolution is turning 17. But also, now I'm just realizing he wrote music for Bellydance Superstars. That was kind of the beginning of his collaborations. All those...
Like
Yeah.
Ice Queen or something.
Ice Queen
right?
and
Yeah.
Entrance to the Stars and
Entrance
Pharaonic
to the
Odyssey,
Stars.
all of that. Paul wrote that for me to choreograph for the group.
Thank
So-
you, Paul.
Thank you,
I
Paul.
danced Ice Queen for I don't know how many years straight.
Entrance of the Stars.
Those are like belly dance hymns. You know what I'm saying? Like classical belly dance.
The classic.
Thank you,
yeah.
Paul. We love you.
Yeah, we really do. It has been such a gift. Now the process is much faster. Like sometimes I'll storyboard things, like I'll sketch things out, or I literally prance around the kitchen miming the scene that I want to do. And there's a swan over here, and then there's like the sorcerer comes in, and she's the dark character. So I'll storyboard it with visuals, give the visuals, and then I'll describe. He likes emotions. And I'll also talk about tempos. I need something slow, something medium tempo, or fast. So that's also really helpful. Something dark, something euphoric, something hopeful. He's like all about the adjectives. He doesn't want to be micromanaged. I'll tell you that. He's like, don't, like when he's working on it, I'm not really allowed to come in the room and just like start pointing and directing. No, that doesn't work out so well. So he likes to work on it, and then he'll play it. And I have learned so much through his process as a choreographer. For example, like if something is just not working and I'm like, oh, I'm not sure about that. It's just, he'll copy after days of working on something sometimes, or hours, he'll copy, paste, and delete, and start over. No attachment and no ego. Well, boom, that was a light bulb for me. I started doing that with my choreographies. No attachment, no ego. It's not working. It's not flowing. Don't force it. Select all and just drag it down to the little trash can. That's it. Simple. But it has been incredible to have a score written for me, because then I can really build from the inside out almost. It's been incredible. Certain rhythms. A lot of times I'll ask for a rhythm. Give me a Masmoudi here, or the Saidi here, or like, how about a waltz in this piece? Because sometimes that can kind of drive the movement quality. But then he's all about the melody. I have nothing to do with that. He drives all the melody. So
it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
This is like for another interview with Paul and
yes,
you.
with Paul. We gotta bring him to Miami.
Oh my gosh, I really want to know like more about the musician's perspective and working with dancers, and I just need to see that miming on an Instagram story. Okay, I need to see that.
Like, it's usually in the kitchen, because we're always in the kitchen.
Everything revolves in the kitchen.
My God.
It's the best. The kitchen is the place. Wow.
Oh.
Do you want to do another question?
So interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Paul, we love you. Okay.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes.
You are seen.
You're
big
seen
time.
and
Yeah.
appreciated. We have another question here from Monica, that she asks, what quality do you notice in a dancer that cannot be measured by technique alone?
Reputation.
Ooh.
Reputation enters the room before you do. How people talk about you before you arrive, how people see you is your brand. So you can hire the best branding and the best logos, but your product, whatever, if it's you or your food or whatever product it is, it's what people think. If they think that's delicious, then that's what your brand is. So whatever people think, and your reputation is more important than all of the other stuff.
Eso mismo.
Microphone drop.
Jillina mothering here again. Drop the mic, brush the hair, like seriously.
Flick the hair. Whatcha?
Like, I'm here thinking about my reputation.
You got a good one, girl.
I have a good one. I have a good one. That's why she's here, you know?
Yeah, but what's needed for that too is face-to-face conversations, because some stuff online can be misinterpreted. I think that's one thing you talked about, the digital age and things like that. So I see a lot. You can also see ugliness there, or people fighting or attacking and things like that. So I sometimes when I witness that, I like step away. Like I turn my phone over. I'm like, oh my God,
It's
run
too
away.
anxiety.
Like it's too
yeah.
much. That's too much for me. I freak out. But I thought, if those two people could have a face-to-face conversation,
It wouldn't look like that.
yeah. And I've actually, when I had some serious critics criticizing my work, I literally reached out, gave my phone number and said, would you like to have a phone call? I would be interested to hear more about your thoughts. Like, I got really vulnerable. And that person reached out, and we had a very meaningful 2-hour conversation. And there was so many misconceptions. I assumed this. I assumed that. So
That's one of the dark sides of the digital world.
yeah. I wish people could face-to-face, because then it's okay to disagree. It's okay not to always agree, but it's also to see the other person as a human being.
Totally. Respect.
Yeah, respect. Finding that respect.
That kind of goes along with Amara's question.
Mm-hmm.
So you answered this earlier a little bit, but I'm going to ask the question. And this question was from Amara, another teacher that we have in our community. And how do you navigate innovation with this current stream of commentary surrounding foreigners or not of the culture, and the accusations that we are changing the art and not representing it, quote, quote, authentically?
That is so, it's really challenging. I'm still trying to figure out, honestly, I don't think I have the answer. My personal journey is, I question my work. So I also try to take a step back. I heard something interesting from a Moroccan dancer. She said, "We don't." How did she say this? I want to get it right. We should be part of the conversation. We should be part of the work. We don't have to be all the work. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. But it really touched me. Just saying, we can also be part of the conversation. We can be included. And I was like, oh, that makes that. I mean, to me, it made perfect sense. It was like a simple thing, but also like a aha moment. So it was one of the things that excited me in my new Swan Lake production was I reached out to Mohammed Kazafi to choreograph the Gawazi piece for my show. So I thought, here I am reaching across the table.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. There's a Gawazi. It's spectacular.
Because Kasafi is spectacular too. Like
So great to work with. All the great things. So I reached across the table and I had him part of the conversation. So I think it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Go to classes and support dancers of origin, whether even if you can't find them or online is also an access. And if nothing else, the least thing you can do is follow, like, and support them online, because the more visibility they have, they can continue their work and they can continue sharing their information. Like reposting something, their work could also be a supportive act. So there are little things that you can do to keep them in the conversation. I think that should be a driving force for us.
Love it. What other question do we have, Alex? I want to know.
Yes. What do you want to know,
No,
Valerie?
this is not about you.
I want to know. Audience question. Tell me, what are some of the names that you have brought? You're mentioning Kasafi. I know Sara, but now I'm very curious to know who are being some native choreographers.
She's a little bit newish. I don't want to say newish. She's been around a long time. Pinky Salim. Pinky Salim. She is part of the American University of Cairo. She's doing almost, how she describes it in a way, is new generation Egyptian folklore, inspired by Mahmoud Reda, but not the Reda. It's not the Reda troupe, and it's not the Komeya. It is the alumni from the American University of Cairo, and she's the choreographer and the director of this program. Incredible folkloric material. She is an excellent choreographer. I reached across and had her come in to do the Golden Era choreography. And because I saw some of her work, I did a deep dive on her. I've never met her in person, but when I reached out to her, her response was she asked all the right questions. Like, I would like to, propose this project for you as a choreographer. So she asked all the right questions. How many dancers? What is the music? What is the stage? What is the scene? So she...
And then you're like, she's perfect.
She knows what she's talking. This is exactly what a choreographer... That's exactly what I would ask. Those are all the right questions. Very responsive. Everything was like great communication. It was a little challenging because it's during this season where they had to turn off they had to shut all their businesses at 9 p.m. because of the current war in
the electricity
Iran.
issue.
The electricity issue, the supply issue, all of those elements. So she couldn't film in the studio. So she had to film the choreography in her house without other dancers. So preparing the choreography, I ended up doing the formations. I love formations, so it was fun. But I also wanted to make her proud of her work and have her stamp of approval with all of those elements. But wow, what a new, wonderful discovery. So Pinky Salim, you should follow her, like her work, and you'll see a lot of beautiful work coming out. She's kind of like new generation folklore from Egypt.
Love it.
I'm definitely going to look her up.
Yes.
Pinky Salim.
Yeah, you will not be disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a hard time choosing these questions too. I think I'm going to go back to Monica. And what is an artistic risk you took that changed the direction of your career?
Oh, that's so me, it's super clear. When I left Bellydance Superstars and I started my own Bellydance Evolution, because I didn't know if it would work. I felt like I hit a wall with the Bellydance Superstars. I was not feeling inspired. I had, I didn't feel I was treated well from the producer at some stage. And then that just, once my spirit was crushed, I didn't have the passion for it. So I had to switch gears. And it was just like it was like an aha moment. It was like, okay, I'm done. I'm out, and I'm moving on to something else. And then I thought, well, I had a good run. I had a good career. I guess this is the end for me, ish. And then I kind of sat on the couch for a minute, and then the idea came to start Bellydance Evolution, and to do that whole idea was to do an international casting. And I thought, I'll go to different cities in the world, and I'll bring like a few dancers as my leads and principals, and I'll do local casting. So we did an online casting, and this was 17 years ago. So online was still newish.
17 years ago.
17,
really?
yeah. So
Wow.
I'm celebrating 17 years of Bellydance Evolution in Germany in September.
I'm just
Congratulations.
I can't believe it. I
Yes.
can't believe it. We can
Time
go,
flies.
We can go to an R-rated movie now. We're all grown up. So the idea was to do online, to give opportunities to local dancers. And the first one was in LA, and it had a dancer sign up from Japan, from Australia, from Belgium, all over the United States. So I was like, oh my God, aha, I have something that people want to do. I didn't expect it, because they had, at that stage, they had to get themselves to LA. I wasn't offering flights. It was like, I have this project, and I'm doing a casting. And people showed up from all over the world. And that was like a light bulb. Aha, I have something here. And then it has evolved a lot over the years. Many, many changes and evolution.
Yeah, that's very clear.
Yeah, it
It's
was
like boom,
very clear. Boom, pow.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by the format because it makes it really sustainable for you also
Yes.
as a director, because there's so much financial risk that
Yes.
comes with this.
I'm on the hook for it.
And
Yes.
also having a dance form that doesn't necessarily is so organic in the theater. You know what I'm trying to say? That we don't
Yes.
have people from theater going to
Yes.
belly dance shows,
Yes.
right? So you gotta kind of like do everything from scratch, but really fascinated about this idea of like doing the choreographies in advance, moving with it, right? Because
Yes.
if I think about moving a production and then I have to buy 30 flights for everybody,
Yeah.
it's impossible.
Yeah. Well, my business model is my BD experience. I have 2 BD experiences, then I can have 1 BDE. So 2 Alice in Wonderlands equals 1 Swan Lake. So I take all of the earnings here and I invest it there, and then I pretty much walk away with 0 for me. But no one's getting people aren't getting really rich from dance, but if I get rich here, like the experience, the joy, the relationships. We don't make a lot of money from dance. Most dancers, it's not such a huge financial reward.
It's not lucrative.
Exactly.
We wish it
Period,
was.
period,
We wish it
period,
was.
period.
So if you aren't being rewarded emotionally and you walk away from rehearsals with tension and stress and anxiety, it's not worth it. You have to get rich emotionally. That's like my bottom line now, is like, well, I'm investing all of that. So where's the reward? The reward is here in my heart, in the joy that it brings me.
But then it's cyclical too, because then you get
Yes.
more opportunities again after that. It doesn't end with, like how you said, 2 Alice's and then a Swan Lake.
Yes.
It doesn't end with Swan Lake.
No,
it
that's right, yeah.
begins again.
Yeah, we're touring all over the world. I'm heading to La Paz here, Germany, Guatemala. It's been an incredibly busy year. I think the busiest year we've ever had for the dance company. Really excited about that.
Amazing. Congratulations.
I think
Yes.
right now I have 7 productions open at once. And each production has about 25 dancers. Can you imagine what's going on? It's a little
lot.
scrambled.
I'm
That's why
trying
we have,
to add numbers. How many?
we have a lot of
dancers are-
spreadsheets. Let's just put it that way. It's a lot of spreadsheets.
I'm trying to just, think about the energy and the
Yeah.
amount of preparation for your body and your brain to
Yes.
to use all that energy. And what do you eat?
Yeah, it's a lot of training to do that. Yeah, I train to do that. I do.
What's the word that I said yesterday? Oh my God. Endurance.
Endurance. Yeah, I do have a lot of endurance. I train for it. I don't like to run. I'm not. This body is built for comfort, not speed. Like if I was a car, I'd be like a big Cadillac with comfy leather seats. I wouldn't be a Porsche. What kind of car would you be?
I don't know about cars.
I had to be a
I'll
happy
ask my
medium. I
fiancé.
like speed.
I like speed.
I like
Yeah,
a little
I
bit of
think
speed.
you'd have a
I'm
fast
like,
one. Yeah.
I'm like, sometimes I had to kind of like, girl, yeah. Take it down.
I like my Honda CRV hybrid.
There
I'm
you go.
cool.
You're a hybrid. That's
I'm a
it. That's
hybrid.
that's your stamp. You're the hybrid.
Cheese.
Hi, Jillina. This was an amazing conversation. I think we're out of time for the questions, but a lot of them I think got answered through the
Yeah.
conversation. And this was such a gem to have you. Like, we were shaking in our boots, like at how excited we were. We're just like, this is like the biggest dancer that we've interviewed yet.
Oh, thank you.
Such a lesson. Thank you for your generosity.
And your humbleness and your wisdom.
And it's so inspiring. I take out of this conversation
Everything.
really taking my preparation very serious. And I would like to finish with this thought because while we have gone through all your evolution, and you can tell that this is a woman that takes her art very serious, and she prepares, and like she doesn't do things without really thinking about them and studying about them.
Yes.
And that discipline is so important. And like for me, it's a big lesson that I've learned from many years from watching you. Like I see your body, that body is prepared. I saw your choreography on Saturday, and I'm like, that solo, it's prepared.
But
like,
it's not, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but on that topic, it's not a harsh discipline.
exactly.
It's at least from my observations, it's a very like warm and happy, almost childlike discipline that is not one of those that we expect, like, oh, you gotta be like this, you gotta go fire. You're not, like you said, you're not a fast car,
Yeah.
but you still have
I
all of the
always feel
qualities.
like I'm in Wonderland. Like I'm always enthusiastic. I still get butterflies before I go on stage. I still feel like it's the first time in some ways, but again, more confidence, and my joy, it's palpable. I think you can see it, and I just want to lead with those examples, is bringing the joy into it. That's why we're drawn to this dance.
Beautiful. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. What a joy. You just brought back so many memories and made me reflect a lot. It was really wonderful to reflect on where I was, where I've been, how I got there, and where I am now, and what my next chapter will
What's
be.
coming next?
What's coming next? Yeah.
We can't wait.
Yes.
We're coming to San Antonio.
Yes. Do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching.